It looks like HOTS is coming back, if you were to believe the subreddit. And everyone's ridiculous copium. There is an interesting thing occurring where Blizzard is bringing back BlizzCon in 2026. So, first off, we're still a year away. But my god, everyone is buying up stock right now. So there will be a Blizzard Classic Cup featuring StarCraft, StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, and Heroes of the Storm in BlizzCon 2026. What I am curious about is what that entails. Will it be an absolute esport tournament, or is it gonna be just like some showmanship, you know, bringing in some YouTubers and just having them kind of go at it and then having somebody cast the games? Regardless, I have two thoughts on this. One, Caldor absolutely needs to be there for Heroes of the Storm, period. He is the only content creator that specializes in casting that has stuck with the game since 2018. He has made tournaments. He has been their saint. I think they should really bring him. Will they? I don't know. But I think no matter what happens, Caldor should be on it. If it's a fun show, it should be told to him that it's going to be a fun show and to relax and enjoy himself. But I think Caldor should be the caster to go. And then I think it should be nothing esports related. Mostly because you open a can of worms once again from the HGC being killed off in 2018 and all honest support for the game. If you do go the esport route, then I'm expecting some new characters and for a resurrection to happen. That's when I would go full copium, if they announced it was going to be an esports tournament. But as far as we know right now, it's a Blizzard Classic Cup. And one thing that makes me think it's going to be just like a show match with YouTubers or like celebrities or, I don't know, Blink-182. Who knows? Is because it's still listed as an arcade game, which is where it became in 2018. If you type Heroes of the Storm here, the Blizzard Arcade is back. Play games from our past and present like Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, and other titles with friends and fellow attendees. The Blizzard Arcade came into BlizzCon, I want to say it was 2017, 2018. It was a community initiative that they did a really cool job of just like, hey, you know, we don't talk about every single game on the big main stages. We don't have stages for everything, but we do have a lot of cool titles, and we should have a room dedicated to that. And it's been around since then. And it's basically, at least in my year, it was on a second floor away from the main convention, and it was kind of like a chill hub area where you could go, and HOTS was there to play. And I think HOTS is like a perfect game to like bring all of the classics together, because you can all just sit down and play it, and you have a MOBA, and you can kind of run it down on each other like people do in North America Ranked. And you just stand in line for a little bit, and you kind of chill. There's like drinks there, they're selling things. It's a good way to like have a lot of color, but also have a game that represents everything that's Blizzard, right? So I'm under the assumption that's what HOTS is now. HOTS is just a vehicle to showcase characters that are in Blizzard, and if you want to go play them right here, right now, you can sit down and play a 15 to 20 minute match that was brilliantly designed by the developers and, you know, is kind of sort of still alive. So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. Like, I'm not going full copium. I'm kind of assuming, all right, this is probably just like another thing. Kind of like if you were to see a picture of the Lost Vikings at BlizzCon, you'd be like, oh yeah, Lost Vikings used to be there. If it does turn around, I will gladly eat crow. I think it would be fantastic for HOTS to come back. Because what HOTS needs now is new stuff in the game. Because, like, as someone that would love to create content, like, I'm just bored creating the same stuff over and over. Like, there's been some changes from builds and whatnot, but you need something meaty and fresh. You need a new map. You need something that really changes things. Because, like, what excites me about MOBA is the competitive element, right? Jumping into a competitive element and being pushed to be my best. And, like, when I play now, man, like, I am far and away the best player in the game. And I'm an average gamer, right? And that might sound egocentric, but, like, when I'm running circles around people, I'm just bored. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm bored losing. I'm bored winning. And boredom is never good in games, right? Buff Samuro. So if there was new stuff coming, that would be a world where I'm like, oh, maybe I should get serious about HOTS again. But for now, it's just kind of on the back burner. Great game, just, you know, has nothing really going for it in terms of competitive stuff anymore. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I think literally it's just 2 or 3 sentences about HOTS and everyone just losing their goddamn mind. Which, you know, I'm excited, but it's like, at the same time, like, there's more tangible things to be excited about that exist in this world, you know? For those that are excited to play MOBAs, I recommend Deadlock.
Spiky Chris sent, hey there, Mr. Streamer Man. This
Hello.
is Larry from your favorite subreddit.
Hi, Larry.
The awesome chaps here at the HOTS subreddit would like to thank you for resurrecting HOTS for us and bringing it back into the limelight. What do you mean you don't remember me?
You messed that one up.
That guy from your quick match game 7 years ago that said you had a nice voice. What do you mean I was banned for being a creep? So rude. Anyway, so when are we getting the Master Chief announcement? Will you be doing it on the BlizzCon stage?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't think the HOTS subreddit would come around here anymore. They, those guys are full copium, my dude. In fact, let me check this. Heroes of the Storm subreddit. Let's have a look. It's been a bit. What's going on in the HOTS subreddit? Aha, time stopper, stop tracer mid-blink. Dead game and awful community. Heroes of the Storm is mentioned. 900 upvotes. Holy, this is why I think it's such a rough thing to announce something like this. People are so thirsty for HOTS content, which on one side is a good thing, but I'm thinking, like, you can't just turn the HOTS machine on, right? Like, they had a massive amount of devs pumping out characters, maps, skins, new content. Like, you can't just flip it on, right? Like, it requires some effort. Like, okay, let's talk like pie in the sky. If HOTS were to come back, what would that need, right? That would need Microsoft to say, we want to put this game on Game Pass. We want to have content that sells with it, and we think HOTS is a great vehicle. Okay, we need devs on it. As far as I know, majority of the devs that worked on HOTS originally, and it's not like an easy engine to mess with from what I understand. It's a modded version of the StarCraft 2 engine, right? Like, dramatically modded. It's not just the StarCraft 2 engine. So they would need people that know how to pilot that. They would need to have that hired. Then, of course, you need to get artists, and the art quality in Heroes of the Storm is important. I swear to God, if they do any more of these skins... Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, yeah. If they decide that they're going to start building more skins like this, I'm fucking out, right? Part of the appeal of Heroes of the Storm is that it's fucking Blizzard quality. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get some good-looking skins that work in a good-looking game. And if I'm running around with Thrall with a fucking T on my shirt, I'm just out. You know what I'm saying? You don't understand the vision. I mean, again, this is probably like a first iteration that was meant to be like amplified over time and like get honed in and perfected by the style at Blizzard. But whew, when they released that, man, I thought it was such a slap in the face. Anywho, so you need to get on top of that. You need to get that running, and then you need to get like production going forward, right? For HOTS, they had like what, 80 characters? You know, I think I would want something probably like every 3 months. I feel like it's kind of slow, but I feel like that would be fair. You know, bringing a game back, starting to pump some stuff out. So I would want a new character announcement. Say we are officially back, reset ranked for everybody. And then put it on Game Pass, and that would be like, okay, maybe HOTS can start like actually coming back, and then like I as a content creator and someone that was a fan of the game would come back to it, right? That would be what I would need to get there. But yeah, people are just, look, even Caldor's in here. COPIUM, I'm worth 9,000. New maps, new champs, new updates, new everything. HOTS 3.0 incoming. While it's nice to see HOTS mention, calling it a classic game does hurt a bit. If HOTS is classic, what is Diablo 1? Yeah. But like, classic is just the bucket that they throw in games they're done working on, you know? Okay, well, anyways, while we were there, I wanted to watch a video that I actually haven't seen, a brief history of Heroes of the Storm, and see how exactly we got here this morning, chat. How did we get here? What if I could confirm for you that 3.0 game I'd be working on? No way, Xpix. Don't do that to us.
1998, StarCraft was released.
Could you
The game
imagine
allowed you to make custom game modes
Xpix
which
being the
people really
leader?
enjoyed. And among these many fan creations, one of them was called Aeon of Strife. In this mod, you played as a hero and killed enemy minions. Minions dropped minerals when killed, which could then be used to upgrade your stats. Sounds familiar? It was
MOBAs in a
not until
nutshell.
2003 that someone took Aeon of Strife's concept and remade it in Warcraft. The game had dedicated heroes, customizable abilities, all things that would actually make
How
the
far
game
was
fun
this?
to play.
2003, chat?
This recreation would later
Have MOBAs only been around? Warcraft 3 release date was 2002. Dota 1 release date and Warcraft 3. 2003. Okay, so it's been 22 years of MOBAs, chat.
be known as Dota. Eventually, the people that made Dota's various versions would go and create games like League of Legends, Dota 2, Heroes of New Earth, and even Strife. But let's see how Heroes came to be.
Heroes
You
went
see,
through
back
so
in
many
2010,
iterations.
when Blizzard announced Blizzard Dota, all heroes had glowy eyes and were made of about 5 polygons.
That was a
as you
StarCraft
may
2
expect.
engine. Look at that.
No one could be blinded when they could see into the 4th dimension. The game's aesthetic was somewhat chessboard-like, as you can see here, and the game was very
I never got
heavy
to play
on
this
pushing,
version.
hence the siege roll.
I really wanted
Somewhere
to.
around here, Valve and Blizzard got into a bit of a fight. Gaben wanted to make a new game with Ice Frog, one of the biggest developers of Defense of the Ancients. Of course, they wanted to call the game Defense of the Ancients 2. Blizzard didn't like this. The CEO of the company, Mike Morheim, challenged Gaben to a friendly oil wrestling fight. The two went at it for 5 days and 5 nights until someone called the police. They had to call that a draw. This had an interesting result. Valve earned the rights to the word Dota but not Defense of the Ancients. So they called their game Dota 2 because that was the only thing they could call it. After that, a few years passed. Blizzard stayed silent on the whole MOBA thing, rarely throwing some comments here and there. No one actually knew when the game would be released. It was not until finally in 2014 that Blizzard announced, "Hey guys, we made a game, it's called Heroes of the Storm, try it. Okay, bye."
It was no this is incorrect history because originally it was Blizzard All Stars, which when you think about it can be turned to balls. So you know that didn't really pay off in terms of branding, but it was a mod that was available in the StarCraft 2 engine, and it was going to be announced. I should probably be a little bit more excited to look at. It was going to be put into the StarCraft 2 engine as a mod that you could play in StarCraft 2. And it had like a small team of like 4 or 5 people on it. I think Richard Koo, who went to League of Legends a long time ago, but I don't know where he's at now, was originally one of the leads on it. So it was like 3 to 5 people that were just like working in a closet, and they were just bumping it out. They were just trying to show how good the engine was in StarCraft 2 for modding and creating games. And then they realized that they kind of had something kind of cool, but they wanted to improve upon it, but they had limitations because of the StarCraft 2 engine. So they were like, you know what if we mod our own engine? We built a little bit of a team. Suddenly Desmond Browder gets brought in, and they start working on HOTS as we know it, this is one of the first iterations of HOTS. I think it had like 14 to 18 characters, pretty sure, to begin with.
Back then, the talent system was basically an item shop. Generic talents occupied most of the space.
Yeah, so I think this was 2014. When was the release date for HOTS? Let me look this up. Release date for HOTS. Because we did an early access. It was called the Technical Alpha. And the only reason why it came out is because marketing was like, oh my god, you've been working on this game forever, put it out. And then the Blizzard was like, well, we kind of want to keep working on it because it's not done. And marketing was like, we need to get people talking about this game, etc., blah, blah. We need to push it. We need to be faster. We need to be leaner. We can't be Blizzard all the time. And so HOTS was one of the first games that started trying to be like, all right, what if we did live service and we just push things out? Could we make it work? Heroes of the Storm Technical Alpha. Let me look this up. When was that? 2014. was a technical alpha. When did it actually release? Was it 2016? Yeah, the actual release date was June 2nd, 2015. Okay, so technical alpha was in 2014.
With ability upgrades consisting of very boring things like deal more damage with this here stick. But let's take a look at the pinnacle of generic talents. Path of the Warrior, Path of the Assassin, and Path of the Wizard.
Yeah.
As you can expect, each one gave respectively tankiness, attack damage, and
mana per level.
spell power. The abundance of generic talents felt like an item shop because these talents acted like a common pool of upgrades that heroes could draw from, without taking into account what the hero actually is.
I mean, this is just simple game design 101, right? Like, the talent system eventually did fold into something, but I think what's really impressive here in the early access and early alpha was that there was a system that was unique in MOBAs that could be flexible to where they could individually focus on every single character and eventually give them their own talents, their own balance, and their own tuning knobs, so they didn't get stuck in a weird how do we balance the generic item, blah, 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 kind of thing. I thought it was kind of brilliant, actually, how they tried to handle MOBAs in general. And then eventually that folded into, of course, the team experience. So it really worked out. So, like, yeah, there's a bunch of generic shit that came out. But again, that's because the game was released too early because marketing really, really wanted to get it out and get it in people's hands. They wanted streamers playing it, right? This was when Twitch was, like, popping off. And, like, in order to, like, get your game to be spotted, you need streamers playing your shit, you know? Later on, I think Blizzard got better at deciding to do summits, which is where you invite a lot of creators in, get their opinions then, and they sign NDAs, let them play the game, so now they can think about it, and then when you're ready to release press information about it, they've already played the game, and they can further expand upon it, right? The NDAs fall off then. And that's a better way to do it, but back then it was like, stream the game, you know? And I think HOTS rightfully, when it first came out, had a lot of, like, big streamers being like, what is this shit? You know, because it wasn't done, and the dev said it wasn't done, you know? I also think we were playing with artifacts back then, too. And artifacts were essentially the rune system that was in League of Legends. And I had the suspicion, I don't know if this is true, and I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I'm pretty sure Dustin Browder knew it was a shit system, but he was like, well, if you want it, here it is, and he put it into the game, and I think he purposely made it bad. So they would delete it, you know? It was kind of a Dustin Browder power move. But again, that's my own thought. I have no idea if that's how it went down.
Here are some examples. Brightwing and Lily could spice your drink with envenom and damage over time. Rainer and Tychus had Scouting Drone, which was basically wards.
Yeah.
Nazebo and Kel'Thas had Clairvoyance, which was an AoE reveal. There was this one funny talent called Superiority that made you tankier against anything that wasn't a hero. No one really picked it.
That's not true at all. You ever heard of Zagara main? I feel like this guy's history is really off.
Killer was a level 4 talent.
He kind of just made his own shit up.
Heroes.
Unless this is like the normal HOTS player, which explains why I'm very frustrated when I play with them.
Of course, some of these survived.
They just kind of assume
like
things.
Bolt of the Storm, Block, Rewind, and so on. But let's take a look at something that didn't survive.
Artifacts?
It is time for artifacts.
Yes.
Sometime, artifacts.
I remember writing this blog. Well, I didn't write it, but being a part of the team that wrote it. I think Nate wrote it.
There were 3 artifact slots, gems, relics.
I remember this little line here, dude, on the back end of the website. I was bad at coding. I had to learn how to like do websites and whatnot when I worked at Blizzard. And this fucking line was the bane of my existence. It would go in random spots, you know what I'm saying? So I would have to like push it live before they fixed up the back end side to where I could actually see what it is. And I have to adjust it in the 15 minutes before too many players clicked in. It looked awful. Because like I am not a detail-oriented guy.
Trinkets.
That little line is
the same thing.
Giving me flashbacks.
The stats increase could range from basic things like HP to more weird things like mount speed or attack range. Content creators like Total Biscuit even made a video about it.
I view it as dull and needless progression that is in there for progression's sake alone.
We're going to have advantages over each other and disadvantages before the game's even begun, whereas before, talents were great.
People rage at the sight of artifacts. Every time somebody mentioned it, someone would die.
That thing fucking sucks. I've decided that I want to die.
It was really dark times.
Okay, I think this guy's just a
Literally
meme
after
video.
about a week, they were thrown into a freezer where they keep StarCraft Ghost and every single project that was deemed.
How do you know about the fridge? What the heck?
Okay, back to reality.
That was a secret.
Release date. 2015 game has been released. Rejoice gamers, it is time
I
to...
still, to this date, think the cinematic was phenomenal. You guys want to watch the cinematic real quick? Compression. Dude, the crowd went wild, man. So this is actually on the BlizzCon main stage, the first time HOTS was shown to the world. I can already feel it, dude. So it's funny because the in-game model is Diablo from Diablo 1 and 2, but they just did Diablo 3 cinematics, so this one was cheaper to do because they had the model all ready to go. Dude, even with the shitty audio, you can feel how high people were, man. We were like, character can fly? Little did we know back then we were on Warhead Junction. Little did we know. The guitar riff. Woo! And everyone fell in love with Nova. I don't even know what brought us here, but yeah, people were pretty hype. Okay.
Play some video games. Heroes was met with average scores, which would later move up.
6.5.
As more and more reviewers gave it actual.
And like in hindsight, dude, the reviews were not like egregious. You know, I know people meme it like crazy, but like it wasn't ready. Everyone knew that, you know.
Actually a fair chance. Turns out the
It
game
needed
played
work.
very differently from League of Legends. Who would have thought? Also, game journalists thought that Zeratul was a Nexus original.
Yeah,
Game journalism, everybody.
the person who did
Around
review
this
it
time,
was,
there was also something else.
clearly
Please
just thrown
give a
on it.
good welcome to talent gating.
Oh no.
After
Yes,
adding and
talent
removing order-
gating. Another reason why people could have been frustrated. So how it worked is Custom Browder had this idea that like, okay, people that are playing MOBAs are gonna play the MOBAs they love, which he was right on, honestly. So when new people are coming to our game, we need to make it as easy as possible for them to pick builds. And so they just talent gated half of the abilities that were available, so you couldn't like build what you wanted. And I think what was a bit of a blunder, in my opinion, was the builds that were available were kind of random. It didn't feel like someone went through and be like, okay, this could be a good build for a starting player. This could be a consistent, easy build so they can focus on their characters, you know? And so talent gating caused a lot of strife.
Effects. You had to level up heroes to access all of their talents.
Yeah.
As a
You would see it was like it was literally just like a formulaic
to level up
answer here. 1 and 2 would be unlocked, 3 and 4 wouldn't be, and then 10 you would lose one of your heroics. So part of the cool thing about HOTS is you had 2 heroics, so you can make strategic adjustments in the middle of a match based on what you needed to win, right? So you would just have 3 and 4 options just gone until you like spend some time on the character.
heroes to access all of their talents. As a frame of reference, you had to level a hero to level 2 to actually pick their other ultimate. This is
That's
a
why
very
everyone went
bad
toads.
idea.
Exactly.
Sherlock.
We're still
This was a
paying
bad
for it
idea,
today.
nobody liked it, people just complained on the forums, as you do. This was removed on release, as expected.
So long, Bowser.
During the early days, armor also wasn't a thing. The game divided damage increases into the resistant and vulnerable status effects.
Yeah.
Resistant gave you 25 armor, while vulnerable gave you 25% increased damage taken.
And it was additive too. It wasn't like a percent thing. Like if you had 25% more damage of vulnerable and then someone else came in and did 25%, most games would be like 25% plus like what is half of 25? 12.5, right? So they would give you like that additive, just straight up adds it on top. So you would go from 25% to 50% more damage, just like that. So they required some changes over time.
Speaking of things that changed, mounts were also 40% movement speed around this time, and the game looked like
I still
this.
think mounts were a bad idea in hindsight. Like, I think it's cool for like selling for skins and whatnot, but like it just makes it so hard for split pushing on a game that already has small maps. You take a rotation speed of what, 10 to 15 seconds, or turn it down to 4 to 8 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Just because someone pops on their mount and rotates down.
Did you know that before
in another way,
release,
it does
rank
speed up
was
the
also
game, but
divided
I think it
into
really
40
hurts split
ranks?
pushing a lot.
There's a lot of people that can't even count that
And
high.
forces globals
For
more.
example, I only have 10 fingers, and that's what I usually use. Due to the way you clap.
Like in other MOBAs, if you want that type of mobility, you can get it, but you have to give up an item slot for it, which means you're giving up damage, or even like defensive abilities, things like that.
Time that the system, half the player base was rank 1. Very impressive. We either had the best player base or the worst rank system. They introduced the bronze to diamond system shortly after, and by shortly
Wait,
in
I
the middle
wrote
of
this!
2016.
I wrote
Evidently
this!
ranked wasn't a focal point back then,
Hell
but
yeah,
you really
brother.
blame them when ranked in any video game usually is more of a social experiment rather than an actual measurement of skill. Around this time, before Heroes 2.0,
Master skins, I think, were one of the coolest ideas. If you played a character a ton, you were given a free skin at level 10 when you hit it. It didn't mean you were good, but you got a free skin. And it was like cool, man. It was like it had extra armor and different spikes. It was very Warcrafty.
master skins were a thing. You want to show off your mastery with a hero, well, too bad, because master skins were not about skill. But
True.
get your hero to level 10 and you can buy a skin that could only be purchased with gold, 10,000 gold. The prestige was insane. Nah, not really. Usually they look like
Yeah,
rewarded
true,
versions of
Xpix.
the base skins, which was actually
That's another
pretty
thing
nice.
is like top lane, but maybe
When you
that
saw
will be brought up
somebody with
later.
it, you knew that at least they were
Hi, Xerix.
dedicated to the hero. Also back then, you could only buy skins with real money, something really weird nowadays. Brawls were announced, previously called Arena Mode. This mode let you try crazy game modes that the devs baked up every week, usually more centered around 5-minute teamfights over actual balance.
Yeah, this was created because a lot of the HOTS player base, and I didn't know this going into it. I kind of thought a lot of people played ranked because I've always been a ranked gamer. Like ranked had a decent player base, but most of the players were either in quick match, obviously, or they were against AI. A lot of people were queuing up against AI every day. They would come home and play for 3 to 4 hours and just play their favorite WoW character. Like, it was nutty how many people did it. I think it was like 40% of the player base, right? Again, I don't have actual numbers on this, but like they would literally just play against AI. And so like Arena was an idea of like, oh, well, if we have a lot of players that just enjoy playing against PvE and stuff, why don't we make a cool weekly rotating play mode for them to play in, you know? And that was a really cool idea from Blizzard to try and like help those players not play the same boring robots, because the robots were ass, dude. The robots were ass and HOTS. You had like the elite AI or you had like the beginner AI, and there was no in between. And the elite AI just like hit all their skill shots. The beginner AI just ran it down mid.
They were fun, people liked them, and they stayed around until 2018. There's a list of all the Brawls/arenas in the description, go check it out.
Dude, shout out to Claudio, dude. This was Claudio's job. Every week he would come in on Monday and be like, all right, what am I doing for this brawl this week? What do we have available for us in assets? And he would have to like, he was a producer of the team and like he just had to figure out where it was going to go. Thanks, Claudio, because I'm sure that was an annoying job.
Would explain all of them, but that would take around 45 minutes. Although kudos to Pool Party for being one of the most beloved game modes in all of Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, Pool Party was pretty fun.
Haunted Mines is one of the first maps we've had in the game. Basically, on release, the map looked like this. Golems spawn
Haunted
here.
Mines was like one of the reasons why like I love the idea of the game. I was like, what? There's 2 layers to a map, dude?
You got skulls here underground, and both golems spawned once all the skulls were taken. Thing is, back then they would spawn where they died each time, so if your golem died literally next to the keep of the enemy team, it would respawn right next to the enemy keep.
Yeah.
The games were very one-sided, the map was small, not a lot to do when you're behind. All of this made Blizzard remove
Hey,
the
Glaxon,
map,
good morning.
rework it, release it, rework it again, and stow it away forever.
There were just so much
course,
work.
it is no
People
secret
were
that a lot
just
of heroes
working their
got changes
bones
over
off,
the-
dude. for this game, and it sucks. It's why I get so tilted and annoyed with people, you know, because like people put so much effort into this game to make it what it was, and I would say from like 2016 to like 2018, it was just straight up golden years of just like some of the best design talent building a game that all it required was people not to be shitlords and work together. And for some reason, the player base could not do it. They could not play as a team. They had to be shitlords, you know, or they had to just play their favorite character and run down middle lane, you know. This game is like so well designed.
Years. Time for a lightning round.
Maybe too well designed.
Here were reworks. Tychus's old passive was an attack speed increase as he shot to mimic miniguns. Basically, the more you shoot, the more you
Thanks,
shoot.
Greg. Thank you for the
Raven's
resub,
old
man.
trait used to reduce his cooldowns by 1 second every time a nearby enemy died. It was also increased to 10 seconds for heroes. Sounds interesting? Too bad. He was swiftly reworked into a ranged minion. Greymane had an ultimate so bad that it had to be changed. Instead of Curse Bullet, Greymane had a skill shot that applied vulnerable to the enemy. On the same vein, Sylvanas' old ultimate used to be Possession. Turns out making 3 guys simp for you every couple minutes isn't worth the hassle. It was turned into a talent that no one picked until her rework quite recently.
I mean, it was
People also
good
tend to
in the original game mode. Again, tower ammo was a part of the game. They were building ultimates, and we were like, all right, do you want to be a split pusher? Sure, but we're going to let everyone know in the game that you're a split pusher by how you pick your heroic. And if you pick possession and you took over heroics, that means, okay, Sylvanas is going split push and less team fighty, so that means you need to keep an eye on her. Like, there were decisions that were made intelligently, you know? But obviously when, like, decisions are made, you never know how the player's going to play or how they're going to react to it. But possession wasn't that bad. In fact, I think I ran it all the time and I had like an 80% win rate with it or some shit.
5 people. Impressive. Zeratul also had an ultimate that gave him attack speed and a small dash on each basic attack. It was about as useful as a square wheel.
It's literally the main way they play Zeratul now.
Allegedly, Kerrigan also had Sagara's Devouring Maw, meaning that she had her own combo confirmed.
This was
and
my other
follow-up.
problem with Heroes of the Storm is like nobody thought outside the goddamn box. Everyone ran to a third-party website and said, what is the best talent? And then they would pick it and run it down mid anyways, right? Like, it's so frustrating when people don't like think about what's available to them, you know, where it could work in certain scenarios. An item that works 20% of the time isn't an ass item. It's just an item that requires extreme efficiency, you know? And I feel like you hurt yourself and you hurt the overall player base when you don't learn this shit, you know?
Plus her W was even bigger back then. A hero like Kerrigan with Devouring Maw and an AoE stun
Kerrigan was
would be
over 2
about
when
as
she
fun
came
as
out.
running through a glass window.
She was
During the
actually a
early beta,
spellcaster before she turned into the melee assassin that she became. I actually didn't get to play her in her spellcasting mode when I came into HOTS. So someone was doing like internally someone was doing a weekly post about HOTS. Like they would have like internal play games like every Friday, and then you had a couple of like balance testers, and so someone would write up an entire like thread about what they liked about a character. And I read through the whole history of them because I was so fascinated by this game. And Kerrigan used to have like literally like spell bolts and things like that that she would throw.
that also didn't
She was
have
very
Gust of
magey.
Wind. Instead, he had Aerial Blitzkrieg, an AoE explosion around him. Basically a worse hinterland blast. And another fun
I
little
ran
whimsy
that.
by Blizzard, Nazeeba used to be the only mage.
It was really
during the
nice to
early
like
beta.
fly in behind
It took
people
them
and
about a
burst
year to
people, but then
release
Mighty
Jaina
Gust
as the
came out and
first
was way
real
better.
mage. Until then, your choices of mage was Naked Frogman, and that's about it.
Naked Frogman.
Welcome to 2017. First of all, they added armor. Wow, now you can actually have damage reduction. Tanks were happy, except not. They reworked all the tanks and every single one of them became basically niched to a specific scenario. For example, Arthas and Johanna were classified as physical tanks, while Anubarak and Tyrell were magic tanks.
Because the game was about draft. Like, and the esports drafting became so important, and tanks were like, tank and support was like the 1-2 pick constantly. Because of like certain tanks just being so strong, so they tried to like specialize each of the tanks to be a little bit strong in different areas. This is where like you started to see something on the design feel a little bit on the weird side. Like if you wanted to play like a generic tank that had generic items in like League of Legends, for instance, you can pick different items to adjust based on what the lobby is going for. But you didn't really have that luxury as much in Heroes of the Storm, so you had to be smarter in draft in order to do that.
ETC and Muradin were two of the few tanks that were classified as generalists. But this idea didn't last long until all tanks got reworked into, you know, being more usable. Speaking of 2017, with all the reworks, it is time to rework the entire game. Welcome to Heroes 2.0. Let's see what we got.
Loot
Free
boxes.
skins, free heroes, free boxes, unlimited
I
levels,
hated
unlimited
this
progression,
so
unlimited emojis,
much.
unlimited disappointment when you get a
But like,
sprayed.
it made sense from like where gaming was at the time, right? Where people were just shelling out dollars left and right for loot boxes. Blizzard obviously wanted to get more money out of Heroes of the Storm, so the dev team tried to find a solution that allowed for that to occur, and this is what we got. And to be fair, there are cool shit in loot boxes, and you were able to get them for free playing. I think I had like 1,000 loot boxes on one of my accounts, you know? And to be fair, like I had an esports account, so I didn't really have to buy too much, but I also was just playing the game so much that I had so much gold and whatnot that it was kind of crazy.
Pack opening. Some YouTube channels tried to make HOTS loot box openings, but nobody cared. Still, they got the word out. Player base went up, people's opinions of HOTS went from eh to eh, with a smiley face, and it was a good time to be a hero of the storm. Alright, back to normal speed. Blizzard showed us a fun teaser.
I didn't say that
It
stuff in the
looked
characters, like you just had to know
Wow, it
about the armor and stuff. I mean, that's every MOBA that you play. MOBAs are a game where you continue to build a foundation on the knowledge that you have, and that's why it causes so much strife and frustration with teammates, because you put more effort learning the game in than your teammate, Timmy, 14, who just runs it down mid the entire time. You're going to be pissed off at him because, like, brother, why aren't you learning your matchup, you know? Like, why aren't you learning your items? That's when it comes down to MOBAs. This guy's video is kind of ass. It's not accurate. I wouldn't call it ass, though. There's a lot of editing and a lot of work into it, and humor. You know?
Dragon Claws, there's a dragon. Just kidding, it's actually Diva. Wait a couple years for actual Deathwing. Hanamura was released. What a pretty map. You can bribe these mini-boss camps with only one stack of bribe. The big boss
Hanamura was an attempt, in my opinion. Again, I don't know all the devs' intentions. I've had my conversations, but like, Hanamura was an intention to be like, hey guys, the jungle can be pretty goddamn important, and people just didn't care because like this is where like HOTS really annoys me. People just want to fucking butt heads. They're like goats, dude. They just want to slam heads constantly. There's no tactical. There's no ant colony bullshit going on where like you distract over here and then you come sting them in the back, you know, things like that. Like these merc camps in the back left, up here, top right, they were worth so much more experience compared to the other games or the other maps, and people just straight up would ignore it, you know? And they would just go play the tug of war, and then like a team would get behind, and instead of giving up a few points and going and getting experience in the lanes and like putting some pressure on a fort, they would just keep fighting over and over, and they would say the game is snowbally, right? Which like, on one hand, is that a design problem that needs to be fixed? On the other hand, is it a learning problem? Like, does the player base have a learning issue, you know? Like, and then how do you teach it? And then you would put out content in Heroes of the Storm. That's where it was like frustrating as a content creator, where it'd be like, all right, let me explain the game to you. Here's what you need to do. Here's some things that you're missing out on. Here you go. And those would get significantly less views than, LOL, I did a combo with Kalthos. Ha! That's funny. And that would have like quadruple the views, you know? I think HOTS had a really weird, like, time getting people to learn the nuances of the game.
Metal can vor you for your pleasure. In this version of Hanamura, you couldn't really attack the
That
enemy's
boss was a
core,
cool
just
boss.
like in Towers of Doom.
Where it would
Only
just
the
suck one
objective and
person in.
catapults could do that. Why? I don't know. Teehee. With Heroes 2.0, a lot of changes came to the base game. Baseline quests were added to many kits like Medivh and Muradins, together with little dings that tickle your balls a little bit every time you did good.
Tickle their balls a little bit.
Now you can pick up enemy globes after 5 seconds. 5-second rule.
Yeah, this stuff was made to make laning a little bit more fun because they removed ammo, which wasn't talked about in this video, but there used to be ammo on turrets, forts, and whatnot. But what happened is they removed all that ammo and tried to specialize the specialists a little bit more and to be more helpful for team fights. And then what happened is the laning phase became really goddamn boring. But in HOTS, you run a 1-4 typically. You have one person trying to double soak 2 lanes, and then 4 people rotating. I prefer like a 1-3-1, but that requires a little bit more coordination than 1 and 4. So 1-4 took over the strategy pretty much overall. So they added region globes to try and get people to be like, all right, well, if I take your region globe, I'm slowly going to edge out a health and mana victory over you. You're going to have to back, and that's when I break your towers down. And towers and forts are like how you get your advantage in Heroes of the Storm, because if you kill those, you get more experience on your team experience, and it kind of snowballs from there, right? And then, you know, it kind of worked, but it didn't work. I just feel like the top lane is so boring now in HOTS.
Also, ammunition
Like, compared
was
to
removed.
any other MOBA, a side laner can do so much more than what you can do in HOTS. You essentially just wave clear, you push, sometimes you commit to the fort, you don't. Like, I really wish side lane would get a little something, but I don't know what to do because it's tied to team experience.
And yes, this was
Oh, there's the
2.0.
ammo.
They also blanket nerfed all supports because running 2 of them was meta. Oh, but they zoomed out the camera a little bit. At the end of the year,
How do you feel about
Stealth
Fountain
was
Permanent
also
Health? I didn't feel like... So it was removed because of Genji, and Genji is another symptom of another problem that was created, right? Genji and TrikSlyr came into Heroes of the Storm because China was like, I fucking hate that this is not League of Legends. I can't solo carry the game. And the numbers reflected that. People didn't want to play, so they brought in Genji and they brought in TrikSlyr, which was super high mobility, so you had skill expression, but what it did is it caused like these scenarios that were stationary, like the health fountains, to get sniped. And then when those get sniped, then people had to like defend them, and people didn't want to do things in HOTS except go fight, so like these towers would just die and people would slowly get bled out. It all comes down to like people just didn't change their strategies, and I wish we took the StarCraft approach more, StarCraft Brood War approach, where it's like fucking figure out how to defend. You got a draft, you know Genji's on the other side, why don't you have somebody in the jungle floating between your lanes and keep an eye on it, and then you get a free kill on Genji? But instead, they just made it invulnerable. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like give time for players to change the way they move in an environment so they can stop the opponent when things changes to where the real skill is, you know?
to be visible.
It's annoying. If it's annoying, then ban Genji. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. If it's annoying, then ban Genji. He was the only character that could do it. Reliably with his mobility, right? Everyone else gets locked into it and have to die. Genji, because he was able to dash over walls, will be able to get away from it. Ban him. You have a ban. Or rotate to him, or pick Brightwing and phase shift in and then kill him early, you know? Like, if you know their plan, you can take them out. General Sal's Chicken, 2025. He said that.
Idea how we used to be able to see these things. All stealth heroes got a rework.
I agree. Learner Justice draft. Yeah, I'm like, right now they're adding backdoor turrets into the game to stop murky players from proxying, and I'm just like, if they have a murky, his 1 through 16 is incredibly weak. All you need to do is babysit him and kill his pufferfishes, and you're gonna win out the trades. But it's like, whatever, man.
Big changes and became scarier. Even if you could see them coming, it was too late.
Li Ming could do it? Could do it, but not efficiently. That's what I'm talking about. Like, yes, fucking... Lily could have done it if you're ignorant of your minimap. Yeah. But, like, nobody learns or adjusts. They just want to go straight to the lane and fight their one-on-ones and then go fight to a team fight.
1,000 damage. The first Q
like, that's the problem with HOTS players, is they all just want to just have the simplest way to win the game. And it gives everybody a bad look at this game because there is so much depth and nuance, and whenever there is any nuance that pops up, they beg for it to be nerfed.
One objective at a time.
It's frustrating.
You can actually attack the enemy core. Garden of Terror was also reworked around this time. The map used to work with a day-night cycle. During the night, you had to gather seeds to empower your Garden of Terror.
Yeah, I agree. That is the coolest part about HOTS, is how the maps work and how they're all laid out and everything. And like, every time you go into a new map, you have like a different game plan that just a little bit, like, it hits all the neurons correctly, and in theory should be fun. But like, ultimately what happens is everyone goes, I like these 3 maps, that's it, ban everything else. Don't play this. Don't give me anything new. Don't give me Hanamura. Don't give me Tug of War. All of it sucks. I just want to play Dragonshire. I want to be a dragon. Rawr! And it's like, man, do you hear yourself? You sound like a fucking child. And he's like, I'm not a child. I'm 34. Oh, you're a man-child. Cool.
Which you could ride into battle and break towers with. The terror
this game is like,
you didn't control it after a couple of minutes.
It's the most interesting game in my opinion.
So they made the
on how creativity gets destroyed
one seed
by
and the terror pushes on its own. People liked it.
Laziness, honestly.
Make Big Ape go happy.
By the players.
Knock knock. Oh, what's that? Structures no longer give XP. This is outrageous. Fuck this game. Everyone forgot about it 2 days later. Knock knock. Hello, I'm Orphea.
Hey, fuck you, Orphea.
Oh yeah.
Dead because Orphea was released.
Yeah, this was something that people were pissed off about. A character was made within Heroes of the Storm because Kevin Johnson, shout out to him, was like working really hard on trying to create like a story for like Heroes of the Storm. They're like, all right, we've had this game out for a few years. Let's build a universe, you know, about like how it's all coming down, start to explain things. He was really passionate about this. And one of the things that really opened the door for is that Heroes of the Storm could make their own Blizzard characters. And Blizzard fans were just like, I want only Blizzard characters that I've known for 30 years in this game. Which, one is to be fair, but my god, dude, one character out of 80 having someone new and unique pop up? What if Orpheus shows up in WoW now in the future, you know? Like, this is a cool idea for, like, Blizzard in general. And Orpheus wound up being, like, one of the coolest characters in terms of animation, how she worked. You could tell that, like, the dev team was rejuvenated. They built something from scratch. There was passion baked in that character. And I don't know, the player base was just like, yo, can I have Deathwing too? You know, it's just, it's so frustrating.
Family was killed. Then people forgot what they were
Frustrating.
angry about. We got new maps, Braxis Holdout, Forehead Junction, then later Volskaya.
Which were like Brax's Holdout and
The new maps, Braxis Holdout, Forehead
sorry, I haven't played in a
Junction,
while. Warhead Junction were like thematically cool. I didn't like playing Warhead Junction at all, but like as a Zerg fan, like Braxis Holdout was fucking cool. It was cool, dude. It was like, dude, there are like 300 Zerg running down a base. How are they pulling this off in a MOBA, you know, where you typically have 8 minions in a lane? Suddenly you have 200 minions, and you have to have good wave clear. Like, you should draft for that accordingly. That's cool. And everyone's like, too snowbally. I might die. And it's like, yeah, but like, you didn't draft any wave clear. Yeah, but I like playing Uther. Learn a new fucking character, you idiot! Like,
Then later Volskaya Foundry and Contract pass along the way.
ah!
But wait, oh. December 2018. HGC was officially cancelled.
Okay, that's funny. I did really hate how this was handled. Like, because I was contracted at this point and I was casting HGC. So, you know, I heard like rumblings that there was stuff going on, but I was still also blindsided for this. Like, I decided at this point that I was kind of done with HOTS. I was tired of like everyone's whining, everyone's complaining. I was overworking myself. I was streaming. I was like casting all the time. Like, I worked 7 days a week. I never got a break. Like, I was literally just killing myself for like this game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a really rough time. I was going through like a shitty relationship. I was like, I need to get off of one of the two. And I loved streaming more because streaming gave me more options to be more flexible and more creative. So I decided to go with streaming. And I left. I sent my email saying I'm not going to come back for HGC next year, but I would love to be a part of it in some way or some form. But I can't commit as much time as I'm committing. I need to like figure out what I am. I need to get myself right. I need to get in the gym, things like that. I need more time for myself. And then literally I sent that email. A week later, they were like, "Hey, HGC's dead for everybody." And I was like, well, I guess I made the right decision, man.
What a Christmas gift. Wait.
This was rough.
What if we grab $3 million from this guy's $40 million paycheck and give it to Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, that's not how CEOs work, man.
That's not good. So less manpower. Alright, fuck it, just do some reworks. What should we rework? Heroes? No. Gotta keep the game fresh. Let's rework systems. Warriors stopped being a thing, and now tanks and bruisers are here. Specialists? Special yeet. We don't need this garbage anymore. Supports are now healers, and supports are something else. Congratulations, the Lost Vikings are now supports. It's 2020, be yourself. Early 2019, Hero League and Team League became one. Now they're called Storm League. It's a sacred place where everybody comes to fuck and get fucked. 50% win rate, give and take.
Yeah, I don't know if like Storm League and stuff fell apart because of HGC going down, but I just felt like there was this, you could feel it in the air at the time that the competitive sense of the game that I was like so drawn to, and what made me play this game 8 to 10 hours a day, like, unhealthily to be honest, like was just decaying. People just cared less. They just like logged in and they had a plan, and their plan was to play Jaina and just play Jaina. They didn't care if they won or lost, but at least it could be a beautiful princess for 15 minutes, you know? And I don't know what caused that. I don't know if it was like the system changes. I don't know if it was HGC leaving. I don't know if it was a combination of everything. I don't know if it was a symptom of like the game design, but you could feel it in the air. And like I pushed through it for like 2 years, but you know, I mean, you guys all saw what happened. Eventually I was like, I'm good, I'm out.
Speaking of reworks,
We can all
what
be
if we reworked the
princesses.
game
Yeah, true.
many times, over a long time.
True.
That's why they introduced Nexus Anomalies. Nexus Anomalies
But I
are
feel like this
basically a
video
way-
does put in perspective like why it coming back is going to be so rough. You know, it's. I don't know if HOTS knows who its audience is, or who the MOBA audience is. You know, and that might be okay, but like, what does it become if you don't let it be a MOBA? You know,
for the game to let us beta test features that
like
might
you can't
get added
Smash
to the
Bros
game.
it.
Are the effects fun? Yeah, they're fun. But are they scary? Oh yeah, they're scary.
Oh yeah, effects.
Nobody wants to deal with mounted invisible garage rushing at you like a freight train full of rage and testosterone that you can't see. But the weather
They could
effect was a
supervive
bit of
it?
an outlier.
Doesn't
Both the previous
supervive
anomalies were added as people
having
got
the
used
same
to them,
struggles.
namely minions dropping XP globes and towers targeting hostile heroes. By the time of me making this video, they introduced a Gladiator's Medallion, which is basically a self-cleanse on a 300-second cooldown.
Which actually wasn't that bad
They
of an
also
idea.
renamed the Brawl mode into
Tanks
ARAM
hated
mode,
it, but
because ever since 2018 they haven't introduced a new Brawl. Which is fine, because now it means that we have an official ARAM mode, where you can actually do your daily quests and get gold, which makes a lot of people happy. And to close it off, here's a list of all the hero reworks that happened between 2019 and 2020. Also, I will overlap the rework list with this voiceover, that way it gets really chaotic and it's kind of impossible to hear if I'm actually saying something.
Yeah, that was a funny edit.
And that brings us to the present. A good question would be, what will happen to Heroes of the Storm? Well, no one really knows. But if Diablo 3 could stay alive all this time, then there's probably nothing to worry about. Either way, thank you so
Diablo
much
3
for
is
making
an
it to the end.
looting
And if you
action
skip to the
RPG.
end,
You need 10 willing players that want to put on a fair game. And my issue is we can't get 10 fair players consistently in Heroes of the Storm. Alright. I think that's probably it. It's not the same. Yeah, I don't. Some people just. They just say shit about games and they don't know.